This video was brought to you by Stormberg, a better route planner, MisterGreen, Kempower and Marcus Bil. Yo, what's up? In this video, I'm going to show you the charging curve on the smallest battery from ID3. And also, I will show you the mid-size battery. I say smallest and mid-size because the smallest is actually on paper 45 kilowatt-hour net and 55 kilowatt-hour gross, and the mid-size is 58 and 62 kilowatt-hour. But it's a bit confusing because I also use other sizes here, but the actual size that I measured. But the smallest size and the big size, so the mid-size has increased in charging speed from 100 kilowatt to now maximum 120 on paper. So let's just roll the tape. Right off the line, you see that the new one there, the top left, is now peaking at 128 kilowatt. It's actually overperforming. They're 130. I also checked in the BMS that we are actually receiving 130. There's no battery heating going on. The battery was already nice and hot on all these tests. So it's 133 kilowatt. That is just insane. But just a brief moment and then they start throttling. So wow, that is impressive. Look at that. You also have to look at kilowatt hour. You see that the kilowatt hour is quite far ahead now, top left versus the other top left on the old curve. So you see, I also measured now 1 kilowatt hour more. So it seems like they have unlocked more capacity in the top. They have some buffer here, it seems like. And on the bottom, I almost forgot to pay attention to the bottom. It was peaking at 100 kilowatt also, but then it started throttling now. But right now the ID3 in the bottom is actually ahead of the EC4. I also include EC4 because it's similar size battery and also similar price car. The two bottom ones, they are the low budget, like the budget cars. But it's also impressive that the EC4 is keeping up with the ID3. Look at that. We have now a French car. German cars in general, they have nice and flat charging curve, but even the French car can keep up with it, even beating it right now. Look at the kilowatt hour delivered. You see that's very neck and neck now on those two, and getting 80 kilowatt at 50%. How about that? What's going on the top now? Okay, not much going on the top. It's just very similar charging rate though. So it seems like that initial buffer, I mean that initial burst you have to over 130 kilowatt is now helping the charging curve. So if you look at kilowatt hour again, you will see that we have about 1 kilowatt hour lead, actually 1.5, really. Okay, is that much? So big lead. So you can't just look at the percentage here. You also have to look at the if they have changed the net capacity, which was actually the case here. And then on the bottom though, we're now battling the ID3 and the EC4 is really neck and neck. But keep in mind that the EC4 I measured only 41 kilowatt hour. They actually increased the buffer. In the old days when it was charging slower, we had 45 kilowatt hour top, so net capacity. So they have increased the buffer somewhere. And actually, this is actually the bottom buffer they increased. But anyway, right now neck and neck on the bottom cars. Very impressive though that these are I was calling them economical cars or affordable cars, and they still charge fast. Actually, right now the right one, you see that the kilowatt hour is higher than the left. I'm not sure if that has something to do with the cooling going on. Yeah, it might be that the EC4 is cooling harder. So don't look blindly at the kilowatt hour number delivered from the charger, because by the end of the day, what matters is actually what goes into the battery. On the top, no, there's not much going on. It's just neck and neck percentage wise, but again you see that kilowatt hour is higher. I remember, maybe the kilowatt hour, again you can't look blind at the kilowatt hour also on the top, because the cooling might be going harder since it's charging faster in the beginning. Maybe that's why it pulled more power. But like I mentioned, it is still 1 kilowatt hour more, so you also have to offset that in percentage. So you can say that actually the top left is leading ahead of the right one. So we are getting faster speeds here. I'll come back to that. But let's see what's going on. Oh, look at that! On the bottom now, past 80%, the ID3 is still charging like a boss, 46 kilowatt at almost 90%, whereas the EC4 is falling behind. Right now, the EC4 can't keep up. It's throttled to 30 kilowatt, which is actually more normal because batteries this size charging at 30 kilowatt is still very fast. But again, you can't beat the Germans because they have a humongous buffer. Remember that the ID3 is actually a 50, the bottom one, it's actually a 55 kilowatt hour, so you have a quite big buffer, whereas the EC4 they have only 50 kilowatt hour and what is it, gross capacity. Okay, EC4 finished. ID3, of course, it just goes beyond 90% just to show you what happens. As for the top two cars, right now, you know, it could seem like the charging curve is at the top is slower, and I also get the impression, look at it in the same percentage wise, well, it could look like it's slower, but remember that we have different capacity now, and that we had that initial buffer. So They are not 100% comparable, but still neck on neck. I get the ID3 in the bottom actually finished to 100% now, just to show you how fast it finished. It took 43 minutes to reach 100%. Of course, the two top ones, they would need about an hour to reach 100% because the battery is simply larger. And I guess if you know what, if I still kept charging the EC4 to 100%, it will probably also finish about this time also. So still impressive from the French that they can make fast charging batteries. Okay, now what's going on to the lap? Not much stuff going on now, but I want to show you that I did measure the capacity by discharging it, and like you see, it might be confusing because these are not the spec. According to the spec, it's supposed to be 58 kWh on the top ones, and the bottom is 45, and then 45 kWh on the bottom ID3. But I always count what I actually get out of it because there's always a mismatch between the spec and the real world, so that's why. But you will see now that based on the voltage and everything here, it could seem like what they did was they unlock more capacity at the top, because you will see towards the end now, the right one will finish charging fairly fast now, it's 55 minutes in now, but the left one will not finish. It just goes really slow towards the end, and this is again because they unlock more capacity. Tesla is doing something even more, because they allow you to charge to true 100%, whereas these ones, when it looks like it's 100%, if you look at the BMS, it might only be 90, 92, 93%. So that's the way for them to kind of, lock the user really to not charge to true 100%. There, okay, you see. The old one finished, but the new one is still pushing in a little bit more because it had more capacity. So by the end of the day, which one is best? Well, I claim that the best is to let the user choose whether you want to go 100% or not. Leaf also allows you to, when you charge the battery to 100%, it's actually 100%. That's why it also takes a long time. Whereas many German cars, they tend to have a humongous buffer, and that's also one of the reasons why they tend to, well, that's the only reason why they charge fast to 100%, because peaking at 30 kilowatt to true 100% is simply not healthy for the battery. But still, what you guys saw now was impressive charging speeds, and also I also simulate. I haven't done the 1,000 kilometer challenge myself with the mid-size battery, but I did do a 1,000 kilometer challenge last year, and it was 10 hours and 45 minutes on the mid-size battery. And then the simulation I do now is that it could take 10.5 best case, but 10:35. So you could say at least with the new charging curve, it's about 10 minutes faster. You should be able to do it in 10:35. So that is good. But I should also mention the smallest battery we saw today is actually peaking at 100 kilowatt, and there will be an update, also a speed update for that battery, peaking at 110 kilowatt. So again, I also did the 1,000 kilometer challenge for the smallest battery, and I don't remember the time. It's set a pretty good time. It was right around 11 hours, and that means that after the speed update, it can be even faster than 11 hours, and that means it beats Stellantis cars even more. So again, impressive that we now today have so many choices. You can go for German if you like. They're actually better than PSA cars in terms of speed. Or if you want comfort and space, maybe you want the PSA Stellantis cars. But all of them are good. Yeah, for long trips, they are actually quite impressive how good they are. So, alright, I think that's going to be it for now. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, thank you for watching, and talk to you later.